Hello, you're watching The Spirit Journey, where we talk about entrepreneurship, spirituality, and personal growth. So I wanted to make this video for a while now. It's lessons for entrepreneurs. And I am not yet a very successful entrepreneur, but I have been trying to become a successful entrepreneur for like a long time now. It's embarrassing that I'm still not successful because I've been at this since 2013 and it's 2022. But I have learned some lessons along the way and I wanted to share them with you and hopefully you will get something out of them. The first lesson is calculate how much it costs to live. Try to push your expenses to zero. So I graduated from college in 2018 and then I took a corporate job at Universal Music Group. I was making $55,000 a year and I told my mom, I was like, is that enough to live? I was like, I don't know how much it costs to live. So I ran up my expenses and in theory that would be fine and I would even save a little bit of money every month. And so I took the job and I found that I was pretty comfortable and I could live a comfortable life and I could buy things that I wanted and I was saving money. And I think that I was scared of being an entrepreneur at that time because I didn't know how much my expenses were. So if you can figure out okay, I can live on $2,000 a month or $3,000 a month, or whatever your expenses are. That will help you in your entrepreneurial journey because then you know what you have to do in order to make that amount of money. If I went back in time, I might decide to be a freelancer when I graduated from college because I figure, okay, I could probably make $2,000 a month on Upwork and pay my rent and pay for food. And so just see what you can do to drive your expenses down to zero. Can you live in a smaller apartment? Can you get a roommate? Can you not eat out all the time? What are you willing to sacrifice in order to achieve your dream? And so the first lesson is just look at your expenses and figure out how you can live cheaply in order to start building your dream life. The second lesson is get your first sale as quickly as possible. So in college, I was studying computer science and I thought that in order to be an entrepreneur, I had to build some kind of technology application that millions of people would sign up for and use and that I would monetize through ads at some point, like Twitter and Facebook. And while I still have a goal of starting a company like that, maybe one day, I've learned along the way that there are so many successful businesses and so many very rich people that did not make a company in that way, that did not make a scalable, massive technology company. So imagine a pizza place, for example, like Domino's Pizza, highly profitable, Papa John's, highly profitable. The idea is that they sell something and they have a cost for, how much it costs to make, and they sell that item at a profit. So if you can work on getting your first sale, so design a t-shirt on Teespring or Print by Demand or some printing t-shirt website and sell it to friends or family or something like that, or start a dropshipping store and source a product from China, run a few ads to that dropshipping store and make your first sale so that you can see what it feels like to sell stuff, and then you just have to scale that. The third lesson is seek mentorship. So there's a few different ways that you can seek mentorship. I actually had a really great mentor, and he's still my mentor, who was the founder of Venmo, and he taught me about the venture capital world. He taught me how to code. I worked for him. I was his intern for a couple of years. And I learned so much from him, and I met him at a talk at my school. So if you want to find mentors, don't just email people and be like, will you be my mentor? Go to events, go to entrepreneurship conferences, entrepreneurship talks, business meetups, anywhere where there's business people and entrepreneurs hanging out, just go and show up. And a lot of it is personality. I've met super successful entrepreneurs that I just didn't click with. And with the mentor who was and is one of my best friends still today, we just click. His personality and mine just go really well together. And so he's been a great mentor for me. But there's also less personal ways to find mentorship. I listen to a lot of entrepreneur like content. So if you go on YouTube, like follow Graham Stephan, follow Alex Hormozy, and you'll just hear like successful business people talking about their lives, and you'll understand how they think. Another thing that I do is I YouTube like Warren Buffett or like Jeff Bezos quotes, or like, you know, just billionaires, to just see how they think. Like, what is Warren Buffett thinking, you know? Watch videos and interviews by these people, like consume their content, like understand their worldview, and that'll help you achieve success in your own way. I also listen to The Game by Alex Hormozy, which is a business podcast. Like when I'm exercising, I listen to business podcasts. When I'm doing mindless work that is not very hard for me, I listen to business podcasts. So like consume content about business, and you'll find that there's like little lessons that sink in. And you might not learn something for 20 minutes, but like on the 21st minute, you'll learn something where you're like, oh my gosh, that's so important. Like that's gonna like propel me to the next step. Then one other way that you can get mentorship is by purchasing online courses. I bought a dropshipping course a couple years ago, and even though it was pretty expensive, I actually don't regret it because I learned digital advertising really well in that course. And I think like a college degree at an expensive private university can be like $200K. Like spend $5,000 on courses. You know, you're gonna learn stuff, I promise. And it might be that like the first course doesn't get you to profitability, but the 10th course is like the puzzle pieces that you really needed to get your business to profitability. So I really like online learning, and courses are just another way that you can receive mentorship for your business goals. The fourth lesson is unlearning the things that you learned in school. So most of us go to school for at least 18 years, like high school, and then maybe we go to college, and we get used to this sort of pattern of thinking that we have in school where you have to perform at like 95% to get an A. And in entrepreneurship, you have to perform at like, you know, a high level, but it's not about being right, where school is kind of about being right. It's about trying and failing and iterating. So if you were a real estate investor and you had 10 deals in a year, and 2 of them failed and 8 of them were profitable, like your real estate business could be highly profitable, but in school, 20% failure is a B-. So I was a pretty decent student in high school, and I was an okay student in college. And as an entrepreneur, I had to get out of the mindset of perfection, like this fear of failure. Sometimes you just have to try things. And in order to find the offer that's going to make you rich, it might take like 10 businesses that like don't work out. Like I've started a bunch of side projects and found problems with all of them, or things that like I didn't want to continue doing, and maybe that's a flaw for me that I need to like stick with one thing. But in general, like most entrepreneurs have a bunch of projects that they've worked on before they find something that's really golden. And so you have to learn to fail, and fail quickly, and school does not really teach that. So just unlearn some of the thinking that you learned as a good student, and start to think more in terms of projects, and see failure not as like, you know, a terrible thing, but as one more piece of learning to get you towards your goals. Lesson number 5 is find your cheerleaders. This is so important. So I wasted like years of my life, like in college and a few years after college, trying to work with people that didn't really cheer me on. So what I mean by that is, like, for example, the venture capital world in technology funds women at a rate of 2.7%. So out of 100 entrepreneurs that are funded by venture capital, 2 to 3 of them will be women. So that's not close to 50%. It's not a very appealing space for women to be in my opinion. And I just kept running into doors in that space. Like I kept going up to VCs and being like, I have an idea. And like, I kept getting a lot of people that were like not really that interested. And I think that like you could be persistent and just keep going. Like Robin Chase, the founder of Zipcar, saw 69 venture capitalists before she found somebody to invest in her. So you could say like, well, I just wasn't persistent enough. But also I think there's something to be said for like finding the people that are cheering you on. So if someone has $100 million and they don't like you, they're not going to be able to help you. If someone has $3 million, but they love you and they support you and they cheer you on, they might become an investor, or they might become a mentor or a board member. So stick with people who support your vision and who can support your dreams. And like, if you have parents that don't believe that you can be an entrepreneur, like maybe create some distance, you know? If you have friends that really want you to take a certain life path and aren't open to a different one, which this happens to a lot of entrepreneurs, that like most people don't want to be entrepreneurs. So they see entrepreneurship as risky or scary or stupid or like irresponsible. And so if you have a lot of friends like that, go make friends with people who do want to be entrepreneurs and who do want to start businesses. And like, don't leave your old friends, but just know that you need to find people who support you, because that's going to get you further faster. Lesson number 7, don't be brainwashed by the matrix. What do I mean by that? So in the old system of like factory labor, people worked like by the hour for a certain amount of money. And that system has prevailed into the current time period that we're in, but it's kind of outdated. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, start valuing your time. And what I mean by that is most people trade time for money. So they have an hourly wage that's like minimum wage, maybe like $10 an hour, $20 an hour if you start building your skill set, and all the way up to like, you know, a software engineer might make like $100 an hour or something like that. And so the more skills you have, the higher your hourly wage can be. But if you want to build like really large amounts of wealth, you're probably not going to do it by trading time for money. And I think that trading time for money is a great place to start building your savings. Maybe you use those savings to launch a business. Maybe you use those savings to invest or something like that. But start thinking about ways that you can increase your leverage so that what you're doing has a long-term payout in 5 years, in 10 years, not just by the hour. Number 8, when you're thinking about starting a business, try to think of like what business you will persist at. And think about like, what have you done for years and years and years? Like, what continues to interest you year after year? Because like really great businesses take like at least 5 years to mature. Like Venmo, my mentor started Venmo and it took him like 5 to 7 years to build Venmo. If you're raising venture capital, you're probably not going to exit like with your company for like 5 to 10 years. So don't be lighthearted about your choice of business. If you're just doing side projects and running experiments, that's fine. But try to pick things that you're passionate about and that you will persist at, that have always interested you, because the average business takes a long time to build. Lesson number 9, use your social media productively. So when I first got on social media, I followed all my friends and I was looking at a bunch of pictures of them hanging out with each other and, you know, going on vacations and things like that. And then one day I was like, wait, social media is a powerful tool. I should be using this. So I started following a bunch of business people, a bunch of venture capitalists, a bunch of entrepreneurs, like whatever space you want to be in, whether it's drop shipping or technology or female entrepreneurship, or like there's a niche out there on social media. There's people talking about the stuff that you want to do. So follow those people, fill your social media feed with productive and useful information, and I promise you, like, you will learn so much. Like, I went to college, but I feel like I've learned so much from YouTube, so much from Instagram. I just follow a bunch of people who talk about like business basically, and art and creativity. So follow those kinds of people on social media and fill your feed with like valuable information. Lesson number 10, action versus learning. So in school, studying and learning is like actively rewarded, and like knowing stuff is rewarded. In business, you have to take action. So like, you know, reading a book about business is great, but running some digital ads and seeing if you can get any sales is better. And sometimes I think in business it takes money to take action, like to run ads or to launch a certain campaign or something like that, or to build a product. But there's a lot you can do without money. Like for example, an Etsy shop. Like you could post digital items on an Etsy shop without spending any money to do that, other than like, you know, the graphic design program that you're working in or something like that. And Figma is free, so download Figma and use Figma. But you need to be taking action, you need to be testing things out and taking action in a direction so that you can learn from those actions. So lesson 11, which I'm learning more and more every day, is like, what you do needs to serve others. So a lot of people on social media, like this was me, like when I first started posting on social media, like a lot of it was just for my own art. And like, yes, I like want to inspire people, but I think in everything you do, you need to be thinking like, why would somebody else care? Like, and that's why I'm trying to make content on YouTube that's more original rather than just like reading a book and like regurgitating what I read, which like I still do because I'm still learning. But like people can sense intention and people can sense what you want. And like, do you just want to like monetize on YouTube and get 1,000 subscribers? Or are you like trying to like give information back to a community of people so that they can grow? So really everything you do in business, make it about the other person, make it about the person you're serving. Like find a customer that you love. Like I love selling stuff on Etsy because the customer is buying like a $4 item that's going to beautify their home. I love that customer. Like I think that customer is awesome. I love serving them versus when I was like working as a graphic designer in tech, I felt like I was like clocking in to serve a tech CEO that I didn't really believe in that much. Like, so make sure that you love your customer and that you're serving the customer that you believe in. Lesson number 12. I did not realize how lonely entrepreneurship would be, and I did not realize that it would impact my friends and family and my relationships with those groups of people. So I feel like my friends don't really understand the path that I've chosen necessarily. I love my friends, but most people don't want to be entrepreneurs. That's just like the fact. Like most people don't. Like most people will not see any validity in your decisions until you have evidence that you've made the right decision. So until you're doing like $100,000 a year in revenue or $1 million a year in revenue, like the people who like don't understand entrepreneurship won't understand your choice. So be ready to have your friendships evolve. Be ready for family members to doubt you and to not understand. It's taken my parents like 4 years to start conceptualizing what entrepreneurship even is. Like my mom and I are talking about investing in real estate now, and like these are just like not conversations that my parents were ready for before now. And so you really have to just keep persisting and believe in yourself because it's your dream for you. And like nobody else is going to understand that dream if you don't dream it first. So just like be ready for the social ramifications of choosing to be an entrepreneur. Lesson number 13 is consider scalability. So when you're designing a product or service, think about whether or not it's going to scale. So I launched an online course on coding and building your first website, and I ended up answering a lot of questions for my first customer because he was getting stuck along the way in the course because coding is really hard to learn. It wasn't really because of the course, it's because like when you're coding, there's just software things that happen, and like you might have a period in your code somewhere, it might be a typo, and your code isn't running. So I was like helping him debug and I was helping him move along through the course, and I was like, wow, this is just not scalable. So I'm thinking about launching a course on graphic design, which doesn't require answering a lot of questions. Like I think most people can get through a course on graphic design because it's more conceptual and more about like font and color and things that people aren't going to get like stuck while they're learning. So think about scalability. Another thing is like digital products like courses and like thank you cards on Etsy that are printables and things like that are highly scalable. You can sell a lot of them while only having to put in the time to produce it once, versus like a basketball, which if you're going to sell basketballs, you would have to produce a basketball for every time that you sell a basketball. If you produce an online course, you only have to produce one course and you can sell it infinitely number of times. So think about scalability when designing your products. Number 15 is you have to be market competitive. So this is going to be really sad, but your best is not good enough, or it's not always good enough. So I used to think like I'm trying, I'm doing my best. Like you really have to realize that if you're not the best thing available in the market, people will not buy from you. They will buy from the best thing in the market. So like when I made my online course on coding, like am I the best person in the market to teach that? Do I have a platform where I can market that to thousands or millions of people and sell it for $10 a pop? Like No, not really. So you have to think about what can you do where you're going to be the best thing in the market. So like for me, I'm actually pretty decent at graphic design. So selling printables on Etsy, I'm like, wow, my listings are getting views and stuff because I'm actually like one of the best people in the market at that. And I'm like, cool, you know, I'm market competitive in this. So try to find something or develop a skill or, you know, get good at something where you are market competitive at that thing. Lesson number 16. So a lot of entrepreneurs have a bunch of businesses that didn't work out before they find something that succeeds. And there's that, there's like iterating and trying and launching and learning. And then there's also like shiny object syndrome. And I have a little bit of shiny object syndrome, so I just want to warn you guys against this. It's always thinking that the next thing is like the best thing. And it's kind of like falling in love. Like you fall in love with someone and you think they're wonderful, and then in like a couple months you find that they're annoying and they do this and that. And like when you first meet someone, you don't know all of the bad things about them, right? It's the same way with business. Like the first time that you think about an idea, you're gonna be like, oh, this is perfect, like it's gonna be so profitable, it's gonna be so fun. And then you start encountering problems like, oh, like this isn't working and this isn't working. And so don't switch to the next idea before you know the problems with that idea. Like stick with the ideas that you're working on and figure out how to make them work, and don't just always go to the newer and shinier thing. Number 17 is a concept called happy money. And that's the idea of being moral in business and having an experience that is just happy when you're doing business. So for example, I have sold a few things on Etsy and I love it. And I keep thinking to myself, this is truly happy money, because I feel like what I'm doing is digital, so it's infinitely scalable. I don't have to deliver or fulfill anything after the customer orders. And what I'm selling is like quotes for office decor and like living room decor. And so it's something to brighten and beautify the home. And the price point is low enough that I feel like it's a great deal for the customer. So it just makes me really happy to sell that kind of stuff. So find a business that makes you happy, that you feel like your time isn't being violated or overspent, or like you're not doing things that aren't scalable. So try to aim for like having happy money and having business that feels good to deliver. Number 18 is about self-doubt. So everybody has self-doubt, and I think for entrepreneurs there is like so much more self-belief that's required than for the average person. Because when you're just doing something that's very cookie cutter, like, okay, you know, you fill out your resume, you beef it up, you make it look good, you talk about your experiences as a club leader or a team captain and things like that. Everybody gets that. Like, you know, everybody can follow a set of instructions and come to a certain outcome. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, you're going down a road that's not clear. There isn't like usually a clear outcome. Maybe there's some people that have done it before you and you can look up to them, but you have to search, you have to find those people, you have to study the game, you have to study what they've done. And so your self-belief has to be so much bigger than the average person to get to the dreams and goals that you want to achieve. So just always like know you're gonna have self-doubt, know it's a part of the process and it's normal, and then you just have to keep taking action anyway, and just have faith in yourself. Like have belief that you're gonna make it, that you can succeed. And so yeah, act in spite of your self-doubt and outwork your self-doubt. Like work so hard and put in so many repetitions and put in so much volume that your self-doubt just goes away. So yeah, those are my 18 lessons for entrepreneurs. I hope that this was helpful to you in some way. I hope that you learned something. I'm also an artist and a painter, so these are my paintings in the background. If you'd like to purchase a painting, you can check out my link in the description. Yeah, all right, this video was really fun to make. I've wanted to make this video for a long time, so I hope you enjoyed it. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.